For this incredible announcement for the city of Chicago. For those of you that don't know, my name is Luke Canellis. I'm the lead sports anchor at Fox 32 here in Chicago. You're home of the Bears, and also you're home to the Chicago Hounds, the Major League Rugby team here in the city of Chicago. It's a big deal for me personally. Many of you know I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, grew up on the South Side. My family owned a laundry dry cleaners at 69th and Western for 60 years. And for 45 of those 60 years, I worked in that laundry dry cleaners. It borders on Englewood and Marquette Park on 69th. And many years ago, 69th used to be Lithuanian Court. And at that time, Lithuanian Court had about a dozen pubs from Artesian, which is where our dry cleaners laundry was, to California, Marquette Park, a dozen Lithuanian pubs that had rugby clubs. So I was automatically baptized into the rugby scene, but at that time as a kid who was anywhere between 8 and 20 years old, I would bring up rugby at Oakland High School, and my classmates would look at me like I was nuts, thinking that I was really talking about American football. And I knew my American football, so I'd put them in place and say, I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about rugby. So I'm really, really happy to see Ireland and the All Blacks come back to Soldier Field just as they did in 2016. So to get us started, what I want you to do is take a look at the screens to get everyone fired up.
Sensational. Outstanding from the All Blacks. New Zealand going coast to coast. There's no panic from them anyone. So strong.
Come on, if that doesn't get you fired up, what will? All right, for those of you not from Chicago, here's a little bit of history. You are sitting right now in the greatest sports venue in the world. I get it, needs a little work right now, but when the Bears are winning, it is the greatest sports venue in the world. We have some great, great people in this city. Mayor Johnson is here. CEO Superintendent Rosa Escudeno is in the house. I saw Tim Lefevre and Luca. I mean, this town, this venue is the spot for this match coming up on November 1st. And for those of you that were here back in 2016, for the first time these two teams squared off, if you remember, it was a pretty crazy week in this town because the game was on Saturday, November 5th. I happened to go to the game. I sat in the stands. The energy was incredible. It was infectious. But what had happened during that week? The Cubs won a World Series for the first time in 108 years. On Wednesday and on Friday, the greatest sports city in the world threw the greatest parade party you have ever seen. 5 million people showed up for the Cubs World Series parade. Folks, think about that. 5 million people. It is the 7th largest human gathering ever, behind only the funeral for the Ayatollah in Iran. I mean, it was incredible. So no one puts on an event like this city in this venue. That's why when Ireland and the All Blacks battle once in the United States, it should be right here at Soldier Field. So we are excited to host the event. We are excited to have all our out-of-towners in town to be part of the event, and we are excited for everyone to be here for today's announcement. So without further ado, I want to bring up a friend, someone who I respect greatly because she has brought some of the top international events to this great city. All right? Let's welcome up the head of the Chicago Sports Commission, Kara Bachman.
Thank you, Lou. Good afternoon. It is an honor. Thank you, Mayor. It is an honor to be here at Soldier Field with all of you today and to celebrate yet another milestone in the history of America's greatest sports city. I'd like to start by thanking our partners at TG Rugby Live, and in particular, Senior Vice President Ben Dunn, for bringing this event back to Chicago. And a thank you, a big thank you, to our mayor, Mayor Brandon Johnson, for joining us today. I also want to recognize several other leaders we have. Some have been mentioned by my friend Lou, but Park District General Superintendent and CEO, Rosa Escarena. Thank you for being here, Rosa. Consul General of Ireland, Brian Cahalan. New Zealand Honorary Consul General for the Midwest, Richard McDonald. CEO of USA Rugby, Bill Gorin. Thank you for being here, Bill. We have several representatives from New Zealand and Ireland helping boost that tourism early, well before the game in November. So thank you. I'd like to say thank you to Powering Power from IRFU and Cameron Good from New Zealand Rugby. To Chicago Interim President and CEO Rich Gamble, World Business Chicago CEO Phil Clement, Tim Lefevre, our GM here at this beautiful, beautiful stadium of Soldier Field. And I'd also like to recognize our friends from Major League Rugby team here in Chicago, the Chicago Hounds. We have the owner, Peter Bernick, and GM and CEO James English. Thank you, Chicago Hounds, for being here. So on behalf of Chicago Sports Commission, if you haven't noticed, we're very thrilled for this game to be returning. It's highly anticipated. I've mentioned it's something I get more questions on than almost any other sporting event that people anticipate coming to Chicago. But these live sports events are the biggest drivers of tourism in Chicago, bringing fans from around the world, making significant impact on our local economy. So international events with Ireland and New Zealand playing rugby definitely brings thousands of visitors, filling our hotels and restaurants and showcasing our beautiful city to millions across the globe. In recent years, the Chicago Sports Commission and the City of Chicago have welcomed major sporting events including NBA and WNBA All-Stars, the Laver Cup, Premier League Mornings Live, NHL Winter Classic, among others. We are the proud hosts of the first ever NASCAR Cup Series street race on a city street course, and last June, we set the record for attendance at a National Women's Soccer League match when the Red Stars played at Wrigley Field. Year after year, the Bank of America Chicago Marathon attracts thousands of elite runners from around the world and hundreds of thousands of spectators, putting Chicago on the map. Now we have the privilege of adding another remarkable event to this long and ever-growing list. And this is just not another game. It's a historic showdown between two legendary teams in international rugby. The All Blacks and Ireland, for those of you who don't know, first met on the field in 1905, making the beginning of a rivalry that would span over a century. And as mentioned by Lou, for 111 years, New Zealand had triumphed over Ireland on pitches until the history was first made at Soldier Field in 2016, and Ireland defeated the All Blacks. That match not only made sports history, but it did put Chicago on the international rugby map. I did get a quick fact I have to add in here that there was a legendary rugby player who was on the team, Ireland's team in 2016, Rob Kearney, who is actually now involved in the ownership of Chicago Hounds, our Major League Rugby team. So it seems full circle enough to me. But rugby is definitely one of the fastest growing sports in the United States, and there is no better way to experience that than right here in Chicago, the greatest sports town there is. So as we celebrate this upcoming event, it's only right that we hear from somebody who embodies the spirit of Chicago, our deep love of sports. Somebody who is not only a champion for our city, but a fierce advocate for the power of sports to boost economic growth and civic pride. Whether it's basketball, baseball, rugby, motorsports, he truly is Chicago's cheerleader-in-chief on the global stage. Please join me in welcoming the mayor of the city of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you for that introduction. And of course, thank you all for being here. The Chicago Sports Commission is truly remarkable in its effort to continue to highlight the global apparatus that we all are so adored by, and that's the city of Chicago. And thank you, Lou, for predicting that my Cubbies will return to the World Series and win. Thank you for that. And so it's only fitting, if we're going to continue to make history, we'll make sure we get another Cubs World Series. I'm very proud to join you all to announce that Chicago will once again host one of the most exciting matchups in international rugby. The New Zealand All Blacks are taking on Ireland at Soldier Field in 2025. And so I did my best to show some neutrality, but as you can tell, I have a little bit of green pinch here just to show some level of solidarity. But this is more than just a game. This is an historic moment in the making, bringing the best of global rugby to our great city. These two teams faced off in Chicago, as you all know, back in 2016. The energy in our city was electric. Soldier Field was packed and the match was sold out. And now we expect nothing less for this rematch in 2025. I speak on behalf of all Chicagoans when I express my gratitude and excitement that our city was selected as the host of this rematch between Ireland and New Zealand. Chicago lives and breathes sports, from iconic hometown teams to international events that captivate fans from around the world. Whether you're playing on the ice, baseball diamond, the court, or in this case, the pitch, Chicago is a city where sports history is made. We are ready to make history again. Chicago is ready to make this truly an unforgettable experience for rugby fans and visitors from around the globe. We are thrilled to welcome fans from Ireland, New Zealand, and across the nation and globe to experience Chicago's hospitality, world-class restaurants, unmatched cultural attractions, and our unique spirit. We are also grateful for the economic impact that this event will have on our city, with visitors staying in our hotels, dining at our restaurants, and exploring all of our beautiful neighborhoods. Our city will work together to ensure the positive impact from this match is felt citywide. We want to make sure that this is felt because it adds not only to our sports legacy, but it drives opportunities for local businesses and our beloved communities. We look forward to the opportunity to strengthen our local economy as well as showcase our city to the entire world. In closing, I want to say this to Ireland and New Zealand. Welcome back to the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. And to rugby fans everywhere, get ready for an incredible match in one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. And I'm looking forward to greeting all of you. I look forward to seeing Soldier Field filled with fans and celebrating the global spirit of rugby right here in Chicago. So thank you. Thank you again to the Chicago Sports Commission, as well as Choose Chicago, for putting us on the map as an iconic destination for events like the NASCAR street race, the NBA All-Star Weekend, and of course the international rugby matchup. So thank you also to the Ireland national team and New Zealand All Blacks, the team representatives for being here today. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to bringing our world together. I look forward to seeing you back in Chicago soon, and know that as we deal with these very trying political times, I'm confident that sports, as it has done throughout history, becomes a constant reminder of what ultimately connects us together, and that's our unwavering love and support for humanity. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to work on that World Series for the Cubs this summer. They actually made a big pickup today. For those of you that haven't been following the sports scene, they selected Justin Turner is a free agent. So that will help the Cubs drive to a World Series. And as the mayor just said, sports in this town has brought us all together. Need I remind everyone of what happened in '85 with the Super Bowl Bears, 6 championships the Bulls rattled off under Michael Jordan, 3 Stanley Cups for the Blackhawks over that decade, and us White Sox fans celebrating in 2005. It's been a while, but we will be back in 2016. Without further ado, I'd love to bring up the General Superintendent. She's also the CEO of the Chicago Park District, Rosa Escareno.
Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Rosa Escareno. I'm the General Superintendent and CEO of the Chicago Park District, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you today to announce the return of Ireland versus New Zealand All Blacks to Soldier Field on Saturday, November 1st. This big international rugby rivalry rekindles the epic match of the 2 famous rugby nations back in, the match back in 2016, as has already been talked about. And that match, having made history here at Soldier Field, is epic and significant to us. This is the 3rd time that the All Blacks will be playing at Soldier Field, and they will be performing. We look forward to their performance as part of the pregame ceremonial dance, the haka. This year, Soldier Field will host a record number of exciting sports events and concerts, and there will be many more announcements to come. We broke the record in number of events at Soldier Field in 2024, and we look forward to actually breaking the 2024 record in 2025 in terms of the number of large-scale events coming to Soldier Field. So this is a world stage as well as a world sports field. The Park District has a stellar record of bringing some of the world's greatest artists and sports events to Soldier Field, including this past year the Rolling Stones, the Grateful Dead, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce, and internationally celebrated sporting events just like the one we are here to celebrate today. And also huge international soccer matches. In addition, the stadium is home to the Chicago Bears and the Chicago Fire. They host annual events like the U.S., and we also host other types of U.S. national events like the Paralympic Valor Games and the Prep Bowl at the Chicago Football Classic. So this stadium, it's not only a world stage, but it is the home of many local organization and sporting events. So with this rematch, Ireland versus New Zealand, we welcome the world back to Chicago this year for this match and many other events. These events not only contribute to the cultural landscape of our city, but also generate revenue that supports the Chicago Park District and many of our local cultural events. And I just want to say that I know that the rematch is a huge thing and it's coming in 2025, but as I was talking to the 2 rugby players earlier today, you know, we were talking about our beautiful lakefront, and I was telling them the Chicago Park District is the 3rd largest park district in the country, and that we provide services to nearly 400,000 people, many of which are our young people. We are the largest employer, single agency largest employer of youth, and I was telling them how many of our young kids come through the Park District and are aspiring to be future leaders and sports, leaders like they are. But they actually were very much interested in taking a walk along our 26 miles of lakefront. And so that's a challenge for today, I would say, considering our beautiful weather. And so, yes, we will see you next year, but we have a beautiful city, a wonderful opportunity for all of us to enjoy sports together. And I look forward to walking with both of you a 26-mile walk along our lakefront today. Welcome to Chicago. Thank you for being here, and I'll give it back to Lou.
I couldn't agree more with Rosa. By the way, I live right across the street. So every day I wake up and I put my head down at night, I am looking at this beautiful building in the greatest city in the world on this lakefront. And as I said, born, raised, college at Loyola, never left this city for a reason, because there's nowhere better to go. So you are lucky to be part of this city because it is by far number one. Now, what I want to do is take a couple of minutes to ask our guests who are going to, or who've been part of the Ireland, New Zealand All Blacks rematch, but they were part of the original match back in 2016. If I can, have both gentlemen stand up after I introduce them. First, Dane Coles, who's been part of 3 Rugby World Cups, the Webb Ellis Cup, member of the winner in 2015, third place 2019, second place 2023, won the Super Rugby in 2023, and in 2016, this guy was nominated for the Player of the Year award, Dane Coles. And representing Ireland, this man is one of the greatest rugby players of all time. Read the bio yourself. I mean, this guy is captain of the Ireland national team, made his debut against the All Blacks. I don't want to age you here now, Rory, but 2005, right? Yeah, it's been a while. And retired at the end of the 2019 Rugby World Cup. By the way, it was his 4th World Cup. Say hello to Rory Best from Ireland. Now, I want to ask you both, because you were here together in 2016, give me an idea, and I know it's a little while ago, 9 years ago, but I was here, so I could tell you what I thought of the crowd out there, the energy and the passion in the building. But as a player, do you remember what the atmosphere was like in this building back in 2016, Rory?
Oh, very much so. I think I've been incredibly lucky to play over 100 times for Ireland, and this is still probably one of the greatest memories that I have. The whole city that week, we talked already about the Cubs winning the World Series, 108 years, and we joked the day before the game about, well, if the Cubs can win after 108 years, surely we can win after 111 years. And look, thankfully for us, it came true. And I think when you create history, it always leaves a very special mark on you, and that's why this city, this stadium and this match is incredibly special for us, that the support we got. And I think I remember standing at the very end of this hall after the game, and we said that the celebrations afterwards were probably as much as anything a nod to the regard that we hold the All Blacks in, that it was so special for us to win that day. And it doesn't seem like 9 years ago, but unfortunately life goes by very, very quickly, and it's, for me, it is brilliant to be back here and back in this city, and we got a very warm welcome last night.
Dane, the final result aside, what do you remember back to 2016?
You obviously created history for the wrong reasons, being in the All Blacks, but yeah, echo what Rory said, like the whole week, there was such electrifying energy in the stadium. Yeah, and we've obviously played a few stadiums around the world, but that'd have to be one of the best stadiums ever played at. The crowd, the people of Chicago embraced us. They didn't know much about rugby, but hopefully by the end of that week, you know, people from Chicago could take a bit out of the game. But yeah, awesome week. Loved it. Just was a shame about the result, but yeah, glad to be back and showcasing rugby to America and Chicago again.
The way, how about the guys? They're in short sleeves. We're freezing here. Little.
It's actually quite nice. It's like summertime for us.
I want to go back to 2016 because Cara mentioned it. The last time you guys played, I think it had been 111 years since Ireland had defeated the All Blacks. And then what happens but Ireland beats the All Blacks here at Soldier Field in 2016. And ever since then, it's been 5 wins for Ireland, 5 wins for the All Blacks. What happened, Rory? Was that the impetus that the Ireland team needed to change what had happened in the history?
Unfortunately, not at a World Cup, but every other time. Look, I'd played in a few teams that had got very close a couple of times. We nearly won in 2013. Remember in 2012 we pushed them very close in Christchurch and then got beaten 60-0 the next week. And it's like one of those things. It feels, when you're on the other side of always losing, you go in and you think, yes, this is going to be the time to do it. And these guys are incredibly good at winning tight games, and they have an incredible, certainly from the outside, they have an incredible belief that they're always going to win. So when you go into a tight game having never won it before, you always sort of go into the last moments going, yeah, we can do it. No, we can't. But actually, in 2016, it was funny that we talked about, we always tried to sort of match them. Whereas 2016 was the first time we said, look, the only way you're going to beat the All Blacks is to score points. We felt we probably needed to score 30. As it turned out, we needed to score 40 that day to beat them, because they are very, very good at when they get a chance, they score. And it was probably a turning point for Irish rugby to say, if we want to compete with the best in the world, we can't just try to match them. You've got to try to better them. And it's something we've taken in, and look, we've won as many as we've lost since, but there's certainly a belief in Irish rugby now that we can compete with the best in the world, and unfortunately we've never got past a quarter-final of a World Cup, so that's the next thing, is to try to emulate these guys and what they have achieved at the world stage every 4 years. So we've taken a small step there, but we're quite a bit behind them in terms of a World Cup.
And by the way, the World Cup in the United States coming up in 2031. Dane, there's a number of Chicago media here, people in the city of Chicago watching, that when they hear or watch rugby, they think American football. Explain, give us in the most basic way what rugby is in your quick 30-second synopsis, number one. And number two, I mean, rugby's become so popular, even since 2016 here in the United States. As I said, Fox is a huge fan of rugby. We are the home of the Chicago Hounds. Tell us about the game, the sport of international rugby, and why do you think Americans have caught on?
Oh, it's a beautiful game, played with a lot of violence, I think. But 15 versus 15 players on each field, and there's no pads, no helmets. We don't stop for 3 minutes and get the call from the coach. Nothing like that. It's just a great entertainment, people smashing each other. Throwing the ball, you can't throw the ball forward, it has to go back, you can kick it. And yeah, there's a few scrums and a few lineouts and a few beers in the crowd. But it's a great entertainment. Very passionate, dedicated athletes who love what they do and get to represent their country. So yeah, you'll be in for a real treat come November. But yeah, it's a great game. Great game.
Rory, you were here in 2009 as captain of Team Ireland. So you traveled through North America, and when I tell you that the sport has exploded here in the United States, why? Why do you think?
I think when we came here in 2009, so we played over in San Jose, and there was a bit of interest because it's an international event, but ultimately it was very much, it was kind of something to do because that was June time, so we're getting ready for probably the start of the NFL season as opposed to it actually being a proper event. But to then come back in 2016 and see the way the country has embraced rugby, to then get the Men's World Cup in 2031 and the Women's World Cup in 2033, I think it's showing that rugby, and look, it's a country that has many great sports. So for rugby to be able to compete and to bring a world stage there, I think it shows how much the country has taken on rugby, and like I say, it's been a big, when we come here, what was 9 years ago, the difference between 2009, just the way everyone embraced you, people knew what you were there to do, so yeah, look, it's great, and look, for me, world rugby needs a strong American team. It's like every sport, they need a strong American team, and to have a World Cup coming here, in both the men's and women's, for them to represent so well at the Olympics, and then to push on to World Cup. Look, I think it's going to be brilliant, and it shows you where rugby is, and hopefully it becomes closer and closer to everyone's heart. And if we can do that next November and take another step towards the World Cup, showcasing how brilliant rugby is to the American people, look, that's what rugby's about. It's about it being accessible to everyone.
Dane, we keep talking about the World Cups. You played in 3 of them. And the All Blacks are one of the most famous teams. I told someone this morning, the All Blacks are like, the Cubs of baseball, the Yankees. I mean, they are arguably the most popular sports franchise in the world, 2031. Give us an idea, because you've played in 3 of them. Rory's played in 4 World Cups. How intense does a level of competition become when you're playing in the World Cup?
Massively, like, and anyone on their day can actually beat anyone as well. So it's like obviously teams go in there as favourites, but if you're 5% off, you're going to lose that match, and we've learned that in 23 and 19. So, and it'll be actually be awesome being here, because it's obviously a new venue. We haven't had a World Cup here, so that's going to create a lot of excitement and a bit of pressure as well, and to showcase rugby to the world. But yeah, it's a great competition, and that's what if you want to win one, that's what it's all about. You need to take yourself to that limit. I've been in that pressure cooker, and when it's all said and done, it's a pretty special moment. Even winning a World Cup or getting a silver medal and a bronze, it's you can't take those things for granted. But yeah, it's a great competition. Teams from all around the world that get to come and showcase rugby. But yeah, I'm sure the Americans, you guys do sport better than anyone in the world, so I'm sure you guys will put on a hell of a show for the world to see. And I know the teams will be looking forward to getting over here, and hopefully you can get a few old rugby players come over here and help promote the game as well. We'll be up for it. But yeah, it's the pinnacle of playing for your country at a Rugby World Cup. Well,
we're for sure lucky to have both of you. Rory, let me end with you. Man, Chicago has such a proud Irish heritage. I know there was a lot of green in the stadium. I saw it back in 2016. I'm sure we're going to see it again coming up on November 1st. Talk about the support that you get from the Irish fans in the city of Chicago. And for this match, the rematch, I mean, frankly, from all over the country, because you guys are playing one match, and it's right here at Soldier Field.
Yeah, look, there's just historically such close links between Ireland and America. And every time you come here, you can go back to a lot of the people you meet will go back 2 or 3 generations that they're Irish, and you really feel it. Whenever we played here in 2016, you feel that support. You felt it sort of the whole week building up, and yes, there was 5 million people for that homecoming parade, and it was probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen outside of playing in an event. But then to come the next day and to get the support we got, like it's. The Chicago Hounds are here. We've close links to sort of former teammates Rob and Dave Carney. So yeah, there's a lot of Irish in America, and look, the Irish love coming here, whether it's to come and stay or whether it's to come and visit. I know my family love it. It's one of the greatest. They still talk about being here that week, being in Chicago. We've been back a few times, just because as an Irish person, you're so welcomed in the US, but particularly Chicago.
You need to come back on Saturday, March 15th, when everyone's Irish in this town. Any questions for Dane and Rory, please? Raise a hand. Anyone have a question? Callum's got a microphone. Any questions for the participants? No? We must have done well, exactly. We got everything on tape. I'm sure some of the guys will break off as well. Should anyone want to do a one-on-one, it'll be up to Callum and the group. I think that's about it. I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming on out to hear this terrific announcement about the rematch of Ireland against the All Blacks. Thanks for being with us here at Soldier Field and bringing some terrific support to this huge event in our great city. I want to thank you again, Mayor Johnson. Rosa, thank you very much. Cara Bachman, TEG Rugby Live, the Chicago Sports